Have you ever paused and asked yourself, who's really in control of my life? Is it me, or am I just reacting to whatever the world throws at me? Do your habits guide you, or do they trap you? Do your emotions serve you, or sabotage you? And most importantly, do you actually know who you are beyond the noise, the roles, and the distractions? In a world that constantly demands your attention, pulls you in every direction, and offers endless ways to escape reality, true power lies in one thing: mastery over yourself. This isn't about being perfect. It's about becoming so aware, so disciplined, and so intentional that no one, not even your past self, can manipulate your peace or steer your path. If you're ready to break the cycle of reactivity and take full ownership of your life, you're in the right place. So before we dive into this transformation, make sure to subscribe, because every day we go deeper into the mental and emotional tools that help you evolve into your highest self. Let's begin with the first and most crucial step on the path to self-mastery: knowing yourself. 1. Know yourself deeply. Before you can master anything in life, you must first confront the raw truth of who you are, without filters, without pretense, without fear. This isn't a casual weekend exercise or a surface-level personality quiz. It's a lifelong excavation of your soul, your values, your trauma, and your motivations. Most people spend more time curating their digital presence than understanding their emotional reality. They wear social masks, play roles assigned by family or culture, and rarely stop to ask, who am I when no one's watching? The danger is that you start living a life that doesn't belong to you, one shaped by expectation rather than authenticity. Real knowing begins when you stop running from yourself. It begins when you stop numbing with noise, distraction, or false narratives. It begins when you start telling the truth to the mirror, even when it's uncomfortable. To know yourself deeply is to enter the fire willingly, trusting that the truth won't destroy you. It will purify you. Most people know their job title, their favorite show, or what society says they should be, but not who they truly are at the core. We confuse identity with occupation, status, or affiliations. But these are surface layers, wrapping paper, not the gift. Deep identity lies in your reactions, your longings, your quiet moments of clarity or dread. Who are you without validation? Who are you when no one needs you to perform? Many avoid these questions because the answers may challenge the life they've built. But avoidance is costly. It breeds dissatisfaction, anxiety, and a sense of being unanchored. When you begin peeling away the layers, you may discover wounds that shaped you, fears that paralyzed you, or strengths you've been blind to. This excavation demands courage, not because you're broken, but because you're layered. And only by facing each layer with honesty can you live with purpose instead of performance. You must ask the hard questions. What drives me? What wounds am I still carrying? What do I avoid when I sit in silence? These are not easy reflections, but they are essential. These questions act like keys, unlocking inner rooms you didn't know existed. Some rooms are filled with old pain, others with forgotten dreams. The more you explore, the more you reclaim. By investigating what drives you, whether it's fear, validation, love, or survival, you begin to see patterns in your relationships, decisions, and even your self-talk. Recognizing your wounds isn't about wallowing in the past, but about understanding the root so you can choose how it shapes your future. And in silence, true, unfiltered silence, you confront the parts of yourself that don't perform for the world. It's here you meet your inner guide, and it's this guide that leads you toward wholeness. Journaling, solitude, and honest reflection aren't luxuries, they are tools. Tools to illuminate the unconscious patterns that run your life on autopilot. The average person lives according to inherited beliefs, triggered reactions, and unresolved fears. These forces shape choices, sabotage dreams, and create cycles of frustration. But tools like journaling allow you to externalize your inner world. By writing honestly, without censorship, you expose the hidden narratives running your life. Solitude strips away the external noise, forcing you into communion with your truth. Reflection helps you connect the dots, seeing how past wounds influence present behavior. These practices aren't abstract, they are essential. Without them, you repeat inherited scripts. With them, you rewrite your life. Knowing yourself isn't just self-awareness, it's the foundation of every decision you'll ever make with integrity and strength. Without it, you're just drifting. With it, you're finally steering. Self-knowledge is the compass that keeps you aligned. It informs your boundaries, your goals, and your relationships. It tells you when to say yes, and more importantly, when to say no. When you know who you are, you stop chasing trends, approval, or distraction. You live from intention, not insecurity. This depth of knowing doesn't guarantee ease, but it guarantees meaning. It grounds you when life shakes. It strengthens you when others misunderstand you. It anchors you when temptations arise. And most of all, it frees you. Because the greatest freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's being fully, deeply yourself, unapologetically. 2. Master emotional reactions. Every time you lose control of your emotions, you give away your power. You let the world dictate how you feel, how you act, and what you regret. This isn't just about moments of rage or tears. It's about the subtle, invisible control others gain when you react without awareness. A comment can derail your mood. A delay can ignite panic. A disagreement can spiral into resentment. When your emotions rule you, your power is externalized, handed to people, outcomes, or circumstances. But when you master your reactions, you reclaim sovereignty. This doesn't mean suppressing how you feel. It means creating space between emotion and action. In that space lies choice, and in that choice lies freedom. But here's the truth. Emotions are not the enemy. They're signals. And once you learn to read them instead of reacting to them, you reclaim authority over your life. Emotions are messengers, not masters. Anger tells you a boundary was crossed. Sadness signals a loss. Anxiety alerts you to perceive danger. These signals are not flaws, they're information. But when we interpret every signal as a crisis, we overreact and regret. Mastery is about interpretation. It's about asking, what is this emotion trying to show me, rather than immediately acting from it. Like a dashboard light in a car, emotions don't require panic, they require inspection. And once you get good at reading the signals, you stop being tossed by every emotional wave and start sailing with purpose. Self-mastery doesn't mean never feeling angry, anxious, or sad. It means understanding the root of those emotions, allowing them space to exist, and then choosing your response, not being hijacked by it. Emotional maturity is about regulation, not repression. Suppressing emotions only buries them deeper, where they fester and grow. But honoring them, naming them, feeling them, investigating them, allows healing. You become the observer, not the reactor. This is power. You learn to sit with discomfort without needing to fix it immediately. You learn to process before you project. And in doing so, you build inner strength, the kind that allows you to move through storms with grace, not chaos. Practices like deep breathing, mindfulness, and creating emotional distance are not soft skills, they're survival tools for the modern soul. In a world addicted to urgency, these practices slow you down so you can respond wisely. Deep breathing anchors you in the body, regulating your nervous system. Mindfulness helps you witness your thoughts instead of being swept away by them. Emotional distance gives you time to cool down before reacting. These aren't fluffy techniques, they're shields.
They protect you from acting in ways that damage relationships, reputations, or self-worth. They make space for wisdom to emerge. And the more you practice them, the stronger your emotional resilience becomes. When you can stay calm in chaos, when you can choose clarity over reaction, you've already won half the battle. Emotional mastery is inner armor, and every warrior of peace needs it. In difficult conversations, in moments of injustice, in everyday stress, your ability to remain grounded determines your effectiveness. Calm doesn't mean passive, it means powerful. It means you lead your emotions instead of being led by them. The world will always test you, but your response is your responsibility. The more skillful you become at responding with clarity, the more influence you have over yourself and your environment. And ultimately, that influence builds a life of integrity, peace, and unshakable presence.
3. Tame destructive habits. Habits are like silent architects. They're building your future whether you notice them or not. Each action you repeat daily becomes a brick in the structure of your life. Most people underestimate this truth because habits often operate below awareness. We tend to focus on dramatic moments, big goals, or life-changing events. But it's the quiet repetitions that shape destiny. Whether it's how you start your morning, how you speak to yourself, or how you handle boredom, these small acts define who you become. Destructive habits aren't just bad choices, they're systems built around emotional needs, unresolved stress, and environmental triggers. To change your life, you don't need to overhaul everything overnight. You need to rewire your habits, one decision at a time. And if you're not consciously choosing your habits are unconsciously choosing your results. The mind loves patterns, it craves efficiency. Once a behavior is repeated enough, it becomes automatic. But not all automation serves you. Many habits were formed in moments of stress or survival and now sabotage your growth. You may not realize that your tendency to scroll your phone for hours or binge at night is costing you clarity, time, and self-worth. The danger is not just the behavior, it's the blind repetition of it. Mastery begins with awareness. You must step back and ask, what patterns am I reinforcing daily? What are they costing me? Once you become aware, you can begin to reprogram. Destructive habits, scrolling endlessly, overthinking, procrastination, or self-sabotage may offer short-term comfort, but always lead to long-term damage. These patterns often masquerade as relief, but they're really escape. Scrolling numbs anxiety. Overthinking masks indecision. Procrastination shields us from failure. But the longer you indulge them, the more they erode your time, confidence, and focus. Destructive habits steal from your future to comfort your present. They keep you stuck in cycles that feel safe but are actually cages. Breaking them isn't about brute force. It's about seeing them clearly, acknowledging their emotional payoff, and then consciously choosing something better. The key is not just cutting them off cold turkey. It's about understanding the need they're trying to meet and replacing them with better patterns that serve that need in healthier ways. Habits don't exist in a vacuum. They're responses to triggers. If you remove a habit without replacing the system that supports it, it will resurface. You must ask, what am I really seeking here? Connection? Relief? Significance? Safety? Once you identify the need, you can meet it more intentionally. Maybe instead of scrolling, you call a friend. Instead of procrastinating, you break a task into smaller steps. Instead of overthinking, you practice grounding techniques. Replacing habits is about strategy, not shame. Discipline is not punishment. It's the highest form of self-respect. You train your mind, your body, and your time to align with the life you actually want, not the one you're stuck in. This shift in perspective changes everything. You no longer see structure as restriction, you see it as liberation. Discipline isn't about being harsh. It's about being committed. You honor your future self enough to make sacrifices in the present. You build routines that reflect your values. You become trustworthy to yourself. And that trust? That's where real confidence is born. Small, consistent changes have more impact than rare bursts of willpower. Choose your habits like your life depends on it, because it does. Willpower fades, but systems endure. When you build habits rooted in intention and practice them daily, you create momentum. Each repetition rewires your identity. I am someone who follows through. Progress becomes automatic. Confidence grows, and slowly your life reshapes itself, not from outside pressure, but from inner alignment. The life you want isn't found in one big leap. It's built in daily choices, small wins, and persistent effort. Choose wisely. Choose consistently. That's how transformation becomes inevitable.
4. Live with intention. A life without intention is a life on autopilot. You wake up, go through the motions, and wonder why you're not fulfilled. Days blur into weeks, weeks into months, and before you know it, you're years into a life that doesn't feel like your own. You follow routines, fulfill obligations, meet expectations, but all without truly questioning if they serve your growth, your happiness, your purpose. The tragedy isn't in failing to reach your goals, it's in never asking if the goals were even yours to begin with. Intention is what separates existence from experience. Without it, you're not living, you're drifting. You move, but you don't progress. You act, but you don't feel alive. That gnawing sense of emptiness you can't quite explain? Often, it's the soul's response to a life unlived. Living with intention means asking, why am I doing this? Why am I spending my time, my energy, my attention this way? Every task, every relationship, every commitment deserves to be examined under this light. You begin to move away from survival mode and into sovereignty. Intention invites you to reclaim your choices from habit, from fear, from societal pressure. You begin to interrogate your calendar, not as a to-do list, but as a reflection of your values. You stop measuring success in speed or productivity and start measuring it in alignment. That means asking deeper questions, not just, what am I doing? But, is this moving me closer to who I want to be? This shift is subtle at first, but over time it changes the trajectory of your life. You're no longer reacting, you're directing. It's not about hustling 24/7. It's about choosing with clarity. Every yes becomes powerful when backed by purpose. Every no becomes sacred when it's protecting your peace. Intention doesn't demand that you do more. It demands that you do what matters, and that often means slowing down. It means eliminating what's not essential so your energy can go deeper into what is. When you operate with intention, you stop saying yes out of guilt and start saying yes out of conviction. You realize that not everything that asks for your attention deserves it. Not every opportunity is aligned with your path. Saying no becomes not an act of rejection, but of self-respect. You begin to understand that a focused life is a free life. To live intentionally, you must create space in your life. Space to think, to breathe, to choose. Not everything deserves your time. Not everyone deserves your energy. This space is where clarity is born. When you remove distractions, digital, emotional, and social, you create a clearing in which your true desires can emerge. You learn to pause before you react. You start responding to life with discernment. This isn't about being rigid or controlling, it's about being awake. You are no longer living according to default settings. You're customizing your life to reflect your truth. You begin to understand that stillness is not the opposite of progress, it is the birthplace of it. When you live with purpose, even your smallest actions feel meaningful. Even your rest becomes a decision, not an escape. A walk becomes sacred. A conversation becomes impactful. A boundary becomes a declaration of self-worth. Life stops feeling random or fragmented. It becomes a narrative you are consciously writing. And perhaps the most powerful part of living intentionally is that it returns your power to you. You stop waiting for a better time or perfect circumstances. You make your life count now. And in doing so, you discover the rarest of freedoms, the ability to live deeply, not just efficiently. Because the goal isn't to do more, it's to live more consciously.
5. Become your own guide. At the highest level of self-mastery, you stop outsourcing your worth, your direction, and your wisdom to the outside world. You realize that no amount of validation, advice, or applause can substitute for inner knowing. Most people spend their lives waiting for permission, for reassurance, for someone to tell them what's right. But the truth is, no one knows your path like you do. The journey toward becoming your own guide is a return home to yourself. It's the realization that everything you were seeking externally was always within you. Clarity, confidence, courage. You start to see through the illusion that someone else has the answers, and in that seeing, you begin to trust yourself on a profound level. You become your own guide, not because you know everything, but because you've learned to trust your inner compass. Self-trust doesn't mean you never make mistakes, it means you know you can handle them. You know how to self-correct, how to learn, how to grow. You stop needing certainty because you have direction. This internal compass isn't built overnight, it's cultivated through reflection, solitude, experience, and honesty. It's forged in moments where you listen to yourself despite fear, where you walked alone because you knew the crowd was going the wrong way. You begin to differentiate between the voice of fear and the voice of wisdom, and with every decision aligned with your truth, that inner compass becomes more accurate, more reliable. External opinions lose their grip, trends no longer dictate your choices, approval no longer fuels your confidence. You stop being a mirror and start being a light. You are no longer swayed by every breeze of opinion because your roots are deep. You learn to live from the inside out, not the outside in. Culture might scream louder, but your inner knowing speaks truer. You no longer chase what's popular, you pursue what's authentic. You make peace with being misunderstood because the cost of abandoning yourself is far greater. And as you anchor into your own truth, something beautiful happens. You become magnetic, not because you're trying to be, but because authenticity radiates. You begin to walk your path, quietly, consistently, and powerfully, because you're no longer waiting for someone to save you or tell you who to be. You take ownership, not just of your success, but of your healing, your choices, your habits. You start showing up differently, not because of external pressure, but because of internal alignment. You trust the process, you trust the timing, you trust that even in uncertainty, you have yourself. This kind of self-leadership isn't loud, it's steady. It's not reactive, it's rooted. You learn that your presence is your power, that you don't need to prove, perform, or posture, you just need to be real. Becoming your own guide doesn't mean you never seek help. It means you filter everything through your own values and vision. You listen to your soul more than the noise. You can welcome advice, read books, even learn from mentors, but all of it becomes input, not command. You remain sovereign. Every lesson passes through your discernment. You evaluate it not based on popularity, but on alignment. And in this discernment, your life begins to reflect you, not a version crafted by culture or shaped by fear. This is liberation. You finally get to be who you are without apology. When you reach this level, self-mastery becomes a lifestyle. You're grounded, clear, and unshakable because you lead yourself. Your emotions don't control you. Your ego doesn't blind you. Your past doesn't define you. You lead not from perfection, but from presence. And, perhaps most importantly, you realize you are always evolving, not toward someone else's idea of success, but toward your truest self. You are not lost, you are unfolding, and every step you take on your path, guided by your own wisdom, becomes sacred. In a world constantly trying to direct your attention outward, becoming your own guide is the most radical, powerful act of freedom. Self-mastery is not a destination. It's a way of living, a choice you make every day. It's waking up and deciding to know yourself, to respond with wisdom, to build better habits, to live on purpose, and to trust your own inner guidance. Don't just listen to these words, live them. Take action, take ownership, take the next step. And if this message resonates, if you're on this path too, subscribe, share, and keep showing up. Because this journey isn't easy, but it's the most powerful one you'll ever walk. You don't need to control the world. You just need to master yourself. That's where the real freedom begins.